Hello, Aquarius. I'm Jordan, the Green Moon Healing Spirit. I'm going to be doing your tarot card reading for the month of September. Um, there's an unbelievable amount of things happening for you. You're kind of like the sleeper this month. Everything else seems so obvious, but in looking at your situation, Aquarius, there's an awful lot of very serious energy happening for you. So I'll be interested to see what the cards say. I'm going to be pulling 10 cards from this Emerald Moon deck, and I'm going to be clarifying each of those with 3 of these Gilded Tarot cards. And I will also be pulling you in a Fantasy Oracle, and at the end I'll pull you a Talisman. So I'm just going to shuffle the cards. I do know for you, there are a lot of things happening. This month is busy anyway, Aquarius. There's a lot happening. So we have eclipses coming. We have the sun in Virgo. We have a lot of other things happening as well. Jupiter is in Cancer. We have Mars in Libra, and it's going to be transiting into Scorpio later on. As soon as the sun transits into Libra, Mars will leave Libra and go to Scorpio. We also have a lot of things happening in Virgo. There's the sun in Virgo with the South Node. We have a couple of retrogrades, I know as well, and I'll discuss these things as we go. So why don't we just go ahead and get started? All right, Spirit. Anything that Aquarius should know for the weeks in September? Anything going on for them? Okay. All righty. For Aquarius, what do we have? Got one to flip up. Ooh, 9 of Pentacles. Beautiful. Let's see what else we get. A few cards here. Also have 10 of Wands, Queen of Wands. We have Judgment. Okay, perfect. And we have the 9 of Wands, a lot of wand energy coming out here, Aquarius. So what I'm seeing is a very interesting picture here. It's got a lot to do with passion and how you're feeling. First, let's start with the 9 of Pentacles. So the 9 of Pentacles is, of course, all about independence. It's all about bounty and the state of mind in appreciating the things that you yourself are in possession of or are able to do. This is sort of about you doing this, about standing up on your own 2 feet rather than being supported from others. I do know there are some interesting things going on for you. Like I said earlier, the 8th house was a very active place. We also have a 2nd house. This, I believe, is referring to a mindset. Whenever we have this sort of situation, it looks like we have a lot of passion coming in, leading to somewhat of a wake-up call, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is mostly about independence, bounty, how you're going to be connected to all the things around you, and also the other influences around you. I do know with that 8th house position, it's a very transformative sort of energy, and that for you is happening in Virgo, where the sun is kind of shining down I would say almost tactics for you to maybe become more independent, but it's not coming from a place of nothing. Because what I see here also is a place of very focused work and a lot of passion, things that you're trying to bring and sort of lean into. And I see that here. The Ten of Wands is all about very, very hard work, almost a brute strength effort and a force to carry all of these things, these burdens home. Um, this, I think, does speak to this independent element as well. I do see with the Nine of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands, this is a very independent mindset. Again, you are carrying these things alone. Maybe right now you're kind of reflecting on maybe the need to become independent, maybe the need to drive independence and bring your own passion to a situation or an environment. This could very well be. Of course, the Ten of Wands sometimes speaks to blindness, but I don't really get that here. Um, I do see just focus. This seems to be, I think you are trying to focus on doing these things yourself, maybe bringing forward a more independent approach and passion in how you're going to do work, how you're going to accomplish things, how you're going to enable yourself to bring things to where you need to get them. In the process of independence, and speaking of independence, we have in the very center up top, we have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is an extremely passionate person. She pours herself so effortlessly into all of the things that she does. She is able to light up the room and inspire people. This is somewhat of an interesting revelation because I do know last month some of you were in a difficult situation. I'm unsure of where all of you really were, but I do see that at this point you're kind of coming into your own and you're really making these things yours. These passions and this independent ideology that you seem to be trying to embody here, I do see a sense of really being able to lean in, or at least the mindset to pour yourself into something and to give yourself totally to something, to really devote all of yourself, to really give all of yourself somewhere. And the queen is also connected. So this is a cat down here. It's all about mysticism. I do think that sort of speaks to the eighth house position. There is a lot going on there. Like I had said earlier, the eighth house is all about pooled resources, but also transformation. It speaks to past pain, that sort of situation. I really see the queen as embodying for you almost taking control of what it is that you're going to give yourself to. And I do see you're controlling here. This is a very independent mindset. Um, and I do see also the judgment card coming up here. This is this is an awakening. This is something that is a calling to the people who've been sleeping or dead or whatever. This is a highly transformative card, and transformation is, I would say, abound for you right now, Aquarius, because in that eighth house position, it's all about transformation. It's all about how you're going to take what you had and make yourself into something new. And it maybe I see the queen as being connected to this in this way. I see the queen as being a connected energy to this transformative wake up call, to something. It could be that passion and independence are leading you into something really big. Of course, the judgment card does have a bit to do with the divine. There is divine energy here. This could be speaking to some connection you've got to that underground. Of course, the eighth to that eighth house does speak to somewhat of like an occult, psychic sort of situation. I do that you could be channeling some element of the spiritual realm to do some work on yourself to maybe enable some more independence. I do see this as being like a spark. These could just be ideologies where you're trying to figure out how you're going to become independent and really bring things to where you need to bring them. Of course, this is not without its toll. This card, although many times speaks to somebody who's been through a lot, and I do think that you have been through a lot. And I think right now, with this Judgment card coming up this way, it is cognizant of all of that you've been through. It is conscious of the struggles in the past. It is very connected to that. And what I'm getting with the Judgment card connected to this and the Queen is saying, don't give up on your passion. It's going to bring you joy, because the Queen is all about joy. It's all about joy. And I do get a sense where I think you are trying to bring in some joy. Joy is very much needed here with this card. Um, it's all about passion and the things that have been going on, but it seems to be that whatever's been going on may have been exhausting for you. It may also be that this search for this moment is giving you some sort of exhaustion. That could be too. I do also know that Gemini has Uranus for you right now, which is your fifth house. That's all about joy. The fifth house is all about joy. I do see Uranus and Gemini in retrograde for you in the fifth house is speaking a little bit to a revision on what brings you joy. And I do see that you're trying to discover something about yourself and how you're going to pour yourself into something such that it brings you joy rather than just exhaustion. That's just kind of what I'm getting here, Aquarius. Very interesting. Let's pull some more cards. Anything else, Spirit, for Aquarius? Page of Cups. Ooh, Seven of Swords, okay. Have the Nine of Swords. Have lots of sword energy, Aquarius. You have the Six of Swords now coming. Okay, let's see. I have the Knight of Cups. And then as your guiding card, I have the Four of Cups. Such a fascinating bit of energy, I have to say, Aquarius. So it's complicated. It's very complicated. A lot of different energies going on here. So we do have this Nine of Wands was speaking to, I think, what's called a troubled past. That's just what I'm getting with the Judgment card. There's a lot of reflection, and like I said, you have so much going on in your second house as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the second house for you right now, which is how you connect to um, finances, all of those sorts of things, the things that bring you stability. You have right now um, in Pisces for you, you have the North Node, which is trying to bring you in some kind of new feeling sensation. And I do believe the page speaks a little bit to that. So at this point, I feel like you're trying to feel how you're going to become more independent, but you may start to see little things at a time. You may start to feel little emotions at a time. Of course, when you have the North Node and Saturn there, Saturn is retrograding, which Saturn is one of your rulers, Aquarius. It's very complicated. Saturn in Pisces is bringing and stirring up a lot of feelings and accountability and a lot of difficult sort of energies to cope with, especially in Pisces, which is all about feeling, and it's a spiritual sort of place too. The North Node is there. It's inviting things in, but it's being very discriminating in what it's allowing to come. The page is all about fresh, new feeling and the presentation thereof, the welcoming thereof, the offering thereof. And there is a little fish in this cup here. I do believe the fish to me always speaks of not just feeling, but you seeing some kind of real proof of a feeling. You seeing some kind of real truth, something you can actually touch. It's a bit of manifestation of the feeling. I do think that the eclipse might be stirring something deep, so I do see this as being the eclipse with judgment. This has been sort of a hot button topic for all the signs, this sort of positioning in the eclipse also in Pisces. I think that what's happening is you're having to sort of address some things going on in the spiritual realm of Pisces in that feeling place and what brings you stability. I do see that with the Nine of Pentacles coming on top of this, there's a lot of questions that you have about independence. There's a lot of questions and feelings you're trying to explore and how you're going to bring some of these things into this world with the North Node there. However, with Saturn in retrograde there, there's a lot of discriminating energy, a lot of things that are having to be held to account, and whether or not they should be allowed into your realm, Aquarius, and whether they should be allowed to control your future life and what can come in for you. Because with all of the things going on in Virgo, there's a lot of things in Virgo which talk about all of the things you're going to do. There's some kind of plan going on here. There's also the South Node in that place too, so it's things that have to go. Now, the Seven of Swords coming in underneath the Ten of Wands, there is a bit of, I do see motion. There's forward motion in both of these cards, but it's coming from a place where you seem to be missing some element in both of these cards. So in the 10, you're missing the periphery. You're kind of missing it's a very hard focus, which I think is good in most situations. I just hope that you don't keep your eyes closed to all the other things around you. But I do see this more as you working very hard with your passion to bring things home here. But with the Seven of Swords can sometimes speak to dishonesty, but sometimes leaving things behind, certain thoughts that just slipped out of your hands, things that sort of didn't come with you. For whatever reason they didn't come with you. It may be that you didn't want them. It may be that you're moving too fast to acknowledge that you should go back and get them. It may be that it's too late for you to go back and get them. There's a lot going on with that. So I'm just wondering if you're feeling a complete sense of how you're going to move forward. But I do see this as something going on here where you are trying to take what it is that you really need and just moving forward with them. You may not need all of these things. It may be that you had to leave them behind. That's very, very possible. And of course, now coming up, the sun at this point is moving into Libra, which things are starting to get a little bit complicated. Libra is all about balance and harmony. I do see this maybe with the sun coming in Libra, you may still feel like things are a little bit lacking for you. It may be that you're just a little bit anxious. This, of course, speaks to bad dreams. I do feel like you may be detecting this void that's going on right now. And that eighth house, like we said earlier, the eighth house is all about past pain and addressing things. It may be that you're just worried about how you're going to become more independent. There's a lot going on with pooled resources, and the second house is all about stability. Okay, so that's back in Pisces. We were talking about this with a lot of things going on here with that positioning. That's all about stability and how you're going to get that. With Saturn in the North Node there, I do believe you're trying to figure out how you can become more independent. And the eighth house, which is that house of pain and past pain, and also pooled resources too. I think there's a lot right now about how you're going to come from a position of trying to make resources more available at your own construction rather than depending on others. However, I do see mostly that the Seven of Swords seems to be, I see this more as maybe just forgetting some of these things. It may be that there's just an incomplete picture in your head, like the vision and communication as to how you're going to go forward. It may be that you just are kind of taking things and running with them to try and just open up some doors. I do get that a little bit. Because I do see that you're very much trying to feel, how you're going to start to manifest some of these feelings rather than just pondering them. And it seems like no matter what you do, you're kind of trying at this point, but it's giving you a lot of stress because I feel like you just keep pondering and it doesn't seem to be all coming to you. It's like a try and try. But the good news is there's a second eclipse coming in Virgo, which is like a try again energy, and I feel like you're really stressing out about how you're going to make all of these things really come home for you. And it's kind of keeping you up at night here a little bit, coming with the sun into Libra at this point. That is a very difficult place, That's a very interesting place for you to be with the sun coming into Libra. There's more balancing that's supposed to be going on, and how it may be that you feel a disconnect with the harmony that Libra is supposed to be bringing you. And there is motion forward with this coming under the judgment. I just feel like this judgment was like the eclipse stirring up all these messy, sort of uncomfortable emotions for you. I do see that you feel like things have been incomplete for you and that you do need to invite some changes and that you can actually touch, that you can actually see, that you can actually feel like this fish. And it's really causing you a lot of stress because you want so badly to lean into the passion that you have. You want so badly to give yourself somewhere, to have purpose, to inspire others. That's something Aquarius likes, to connect to others. It's all about that. And so I feel like at this point, when the sun comes into Libra, you're really trying to take some honest steps. You're really trying to get away from all of this choppy sort of Pisces nasty energy that Aquarius, you seem to be having a little bit of problem with manifestation. I see a lot, it looks like struggling, truthfully. I don't wish to lie to you. I do see a struggle here. There's a vision of you wanting to be independent and a vision of you wanting to pour yourself in and really give yourself to. And it may be that this is just becoming a culmination and frustration for you. And I feel like that plays in a little bit to the eighth house, where you feel like things that have been going on are giving you some uncomfortable vibes because you're feeling such a disconnect to what it is that you want to lean so hard into. And it's causing you to be exhausted. It's causing you to have feelings where you want to see things that are real. And I do get a sense where it's like, I don't care what I need to do. I just need to keep going. I just need to get away. I just need to take these thoughts and go and make something happen because I don't care if I don't have room for them all. You know, I feel like Aquarius, you're trying so hard to just come alive, to just connect somewhere. It may be that you've been disconnected. You know, your other ruler is in your house, and that's all about rebirth and change. And it's kind of, I think, starting to really weigh on you kind of heavily. And so because of that, I think you may be trying to get away from this choppy with the judgment card stirring all this up in such a very drastic sort of way for you in that Pisces feeling very deep spiritual place where you're trying to feel how you're going to stabilize and invite these things in. You do get a sense, I think, at this point, after this stressful sort of breaking point of moving into something else, and you're trying to bring a good vantage point with you. Of course, these thoughts are coming with you, and there is someone else here. I don't know whether you'll be connecting with somebody else or, however that's going to go. It could just be that that's part of the card, but sometimes I notice this very strongly. I do notice it for you here, that there's somebody else here. But you are moving on, or at least trying to move on. And then after this point, the Knight of Cups at the end of the month for you, with the Sun, of course, now being in Libra. It may be that Libra is just working its Libra magic for you and like giving you that sharp realization so you're able to just have a breaking point and balance yourself out. That could very well be, because after this, I do see the moving on, into clearer water. Maybe things that are at least less turbulent for you so that you can give yourself a little bit of ease in order to navigate. The Knight of Cups is all about like a step-by-step emotional progression. And there is forward motion here, which is good. I feel like the cup energy is sort of trying to come about. And now I feel like there's some honest progress. This may be somebody offering you some kind of emotional support. This may be you just being your own emotional support at that point. So that's kind of at the end of the month. You're in this mindset, I feel, where you're trying to address some of the feelings to maybe actually resolve some of these things that have been going on with you. Because I do see this coming in under, as well as coming in underneath this Nine of Wands, which you may have been feeling this exhaustion to a very large extent, like mid-month, and now it's like you're trying after all of this sort of energy. And I do see desperation a little bit here. I do see running away. That's a lot of what I see for you, Aquarius. There's a lot of running away. And underneath the Nine of Wands, I do see this Knight of Cups, which is kind of like trying to deliver yourself the emotional healing, to escape this exhaustion, to escape wherever you've been, to try and get somewhere new. At least internally, at least inside. And like I said earlier, so your guiding card came up with this Four of Cups. This is an apathetic state. However, another way that I envision this card, especially in this situation, is a choosiness in being selective in your process and how you're going to enable this expansion. I do see there's a lot of wishing for independence, but also I don't know whether it's deliberate blindness. It may be that you're just not looking at all the things around you. Maybe you don't want to get distracted. But I do see that whatever has happened here in this Four of Cups throughout the month as your guiding card, these cups are no longer fulfilling you. This cup, which is sort of more of the same, is not fulfilling you. It's not doing the trick for you. It's not helping you. It's not going to enthuse you. And I do see that you are trying to push some sort of new agenda. I just don't see you as achieving it this month. It may be that when the sun comes into Libra a little bit later, we'll have more answers for you. But at the end of September, I do see an attempt and some honest address and trying to bring forward the emotions. I just see a lot of there is an awakening that's happening though, with that eclipse. It's really stirring some things up in that Pisces second house for you and how you're going to achieve this stability. I mean, it's all about stability is what I'm seeing, and there does seem to be a bit of deliberate ignorance. It may be that you're trying to block out some of the more uncomfortable things that have been going on before this month. I'm unsure of where you were, of course, but why don't we pull you a fantasy oracle? Spirit, any oracle card for Aquarius. Okay, the Archer. So we have the Archer here, biding your time and planning ahead. I really do think, Aquarius, that in your head, you have these visions of where you would like to be. You have this vision of independence. With the rest of the cards coming up, I see you as wanting to be independent. I almost worry that you're wanting to be independent so bad just for the sake of being independent. But I do see, moreover, that the mindset is independence. The mindset, at least at the beginning of the month, is independence. And planning ahead, I do see you very carefully, like I said, choosing, you're being really choosy and selective about what things you're going to let in, which is good. I think this speaks a lot to the Saturn retrograde with the North Node. It's as if to say, all these things could come in. All these things could come in. So you have all these cups that are being presented to you, Aquarius. All these things, this one didn't work, that one didn't work, this one didn't work, and now you have the same as before being offered to you, and you just don't want it. I do see Saturn retrograding with the North Node and Pisces, especially with the full moon. There's a huge revelation to you that you're having to moderate what's coming in, that you're having to kind of have Saturn do some goaltending for you to just not let everything through that North Node, to not just take every opportunity. But I do see there is the desire for it. And I do see you as these are sort of trying to address what's going on and how you're going to achieve the feeling that you want to have. Let's clarify these cards. Okay, Spirit, let's clarify the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. Yes, so Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers. the Knight of Pentacles. And now we'll clarify the Ten of Wands. Have the Seven of Wands. Have the Chariot. I have the Knight of Wands. And for the Queen of Wands, I have the Two of Cups. The Seven of Swords. I have the Ace of Cups. Now let's clarify the Judgment card, Spirit. I have the Knight of Swords. We have the Eight of Cups. A couple cards. See, I have the Devil. And now I have the Four of Wands on the Nine of Wands. Couple cards. I have the Ten of Cups. And I also have the Four of Swords. And now the Page of Cups, Spirit. Nine of Pentacles. And the Queen of Wands. It's interesting. It's a lot of similar cards going on, Aquarius. Okay, and the Emperor. Okay. Now the Seven of Swords. Okay, Ace of Pentacles. Temperance. I have the Nine of Swords again. A lot of stress going on, Aquarius. I hope you're okay. I think we have 3 on there. So let's clarify the Nine of Swords. Spirit. Three of Cups. Queen of Cups. have the Nine of Wands again. And I have, to clarify now, the Six of Swords. We got the Ace of Swords immediately. Have the Fool. Lots of good things coming up there when you move on. When the sun comes into Libra, I think there's going to be some changing. The last card, King of Cups. And now the Knight of Cups. Let's clarify that. Okay, we got the Sun. We have Strength. Got a couple cards here. Got the Three of Swords. And now as the clarifier for the guiding card, we have the Five of Swords. And I will take one more pass, Spirit, to try and any more guidance on the guiding card. Yep, we have this. Okay. Wow, Aquarius. I feel like you're in a place of an enormous disconnect this month. That's just what I get. But I do see a very real address of how you're going to do things. That's just what I'm seeing. I do see quite a bit of anxiety. There's pain, there's anxiety, there's stress. There's a lot of feeling like you're in a certain place and you really want, you're really deeply yearning to move on. I can see that for you, Aquarius. I do see right now you may be in a bit of a painful situation. But that's part of the process. Okay, that's part of the arc. You're in a place right now where transformation is not easy. It's a very real sense of having to address pains and having to move them into where you're going to put them in the future, how they're going to define you, and all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to get into all of this in the comprehensive reading. If you follow the link in the description below, Aquarius, you can join me there. I really hope that you do, because I always get so many more answers there. This is a very complicated spread for you. There's a lot happening, a lot of different contrary things. I do hope to see you there, and don't be dismayed. I do think that there's hope yet for you. But if you like this content, please like and subscribe. If you're mad at me for pulling these cards for you this month, I am sorry. These cards can be kind of brutal, this Emerald Moon deck. But sometimes we need to address some hard truths before we can indulge in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, and I do hope to see you in the comprehensive. But if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here.